Would you let your 12-year-old out all night from 11 o'clock at night until 8 o'clock in the morning on their own without any supervision? I didn't think so. But that's what we're doing when we allow them on the internet and we're not checking out what they're doing. So the purpose of this video is to talk about the questionnaire that you've taken part in today. So thank you very much for that. And talk about how we can really protect our young people, especially in this time, to stop any online threats, because online usage has gone up so massively. So there's many things that are going on these days that we're afraid of really for our young people, including online harassment, online bullying, cyber predators, and in that I'm talking about sexual predators as well as posting things that shouldn't really be posted without any knowledge or idea of how it can impact in the future, and sharing personal information, not even to mention things that, being tricked and conned and groomed. So all of these things are real threats. Now, hi Patrick. So first of all, let's talk about online harassment and bullying. We'll talk about how they occur together. Now, online harassment and bullying usually are happening from a young person to a young person, not so much a young person to an adult. So let's say, for example, there is a case of a group of 8-year-old girls who were bullying a classmate, and they would bully her during the day. And what they did, they falsified and opened in her name an email address, falsified a Twitter account, and then proceeded after the school to bully her online and threaten her and harass her online. So much of the bullying is actually not from adults to children, but it's children with other children. And a lot of research shows that a lot of this bullying actually starts off as physical, like the old school bullying, let's call it that, where it's from one person to the next. And then it seems to develop and then carry on online. And this is something that we've really got to be careful with and make sure that we're watching over the young people in our lives. Cyber predators, now again, it's usually, peer-to-peer. They're usually around the same age. It's not often that they're adults threatening at all. And what we find is that it could be young people in their 20s grooming young children around 12 years old. And this is what we've got to be careful of. A lot of the grooming is actually it's more not online. The fear is that it's from family members and people that a young person already knows. So 45% is of abuse or grooming or sexual exploitation is by a family member, and 55% is from somebody close to them. That could be a neighbour, a family friend, a teacher. I don't know if they still do brownies, but people in those kind of positions, it's more likely to be that. Now, sometimes when young people play computer games, we'll talk a bit more about that afterwards. They make friendships online, and about 15 to 17% of them then decide to go on and meet in person. And in that situation, then 75%, only 75%. Of parents go with them for this meeting. So what we're going to talk about in this video, as well as some of the threats, are what we can do to maximize the security and protect our young people in our lives, while giving them the confidence to be able to search and research and learn through the internet. So we talked about the cyber predators, and so also as well, posting private information. We'll talk more about that later, things that we can do. But, sometimes young people are posting private information, their location, their email address and their whereabouts, without any real knowledge of the impact and the ramifications of that. And also, what young people, have been doing is posting things and they don't realise the impact of that. And I know there's one example, a young person, I think her name was Emily, but she was a 14-year-old. She was the first under 16 to get into the live finals, and she was great, sung like an angel. and she was really doing well, and there was some footage came out with her bullying and beating up and being physically aggressive with this girl on the internet because she'd recorded it, or her friends had recorded it and put it on the internet, and that came back to bite her. So she was dropped. And that was her future finished, unfortunately. But, you know, young people really have to be aware now of the impacts, because a lot of employers are checking the social media websites so they can find out more about their prospective employees before they actually hire. Now, a lot of research has found out that young people are safer and they're less likely to run into all of these problems if there's a warm environment, a place that is safe where they can talk and actually speak with, you know, with one of their parents. If there's somebody that they've met, for example, that might be a bit dubious, or they've got doubts about them, and also environments that are positive. And nurturing, because also as well, where parents are setting rules, they're setting safety rules, and there's restrictions. A lot of research is showing in homes such as these, there's less likelihood for young people to go on to be groomed, or to to get involved with or see porn and things like this. Also as well, when there's greater family cohesion, that always helps. Now, I'm a great believer in eating together, which before we didn't really have time to, because people are coming from school and coming from work and doing all these things at different times. And here we have now that great opportunity to sit down at least once a day, all of us together, to have that evening meal, because that's a time of reflection. That's when young people can talk about the things that work for them, the things that didn't work for them, and get that evaluation, to get that support, to get that camaraderie. You know, it's so important for them and their emotional development at this time. And they're more likely to speak with you about things that, you know, things that have happened. And this is great this is great for them. So we said before that it's really important, and the parents, and a lot of you did say in your questionnaire, in our questionnaires that we put out, that you did put restrictions on your computer and the internet, and also you had conversations with that young person in your life, showing them how to navigate the internet. So how can we protect them in this time when everybody's on lockdown and computer usage is so important, especially for our young people, for their learning? The first thing is being open. You know, you must listen to them about what's going on. Also ask them questions. If they're doing gaming and things like that, ask them questions like, who have they been playing with? What do they think of them? Are they enjoying it? All these kind of things, to open up that conversation, to, you know, because it's listening for what it is that they're dealing with, to see whether they need the support first of all. Chances are everything's fine, but then you never know if you don't ask. First, and then going on to the next thing, research your games. If it's games that you're giving the young person and the websites that they're visiting, visit them first to see what you think. If it's a game, research them first and find out about the age limits and limitations and things like this, because all these things are important. Or if you're like me and you've got no idea about all of these computer games, at least sit down and watch them do it, first of all, just to see if there's anything that comes up that you might be doubtful about. Because if it does, that means you can just not give them the game, and that will be saving a lot of heartache, really. Like, moving on to the next thing, usernames. Where as possible, advise a young person not to use their actual name, but to use a screen name, because because this is really important for them to protect themselves, for their online safety. Also as well, tell them to never give away their email address, their contact details, where they're living, all of this information, because this is for their safety. They should never do that. Encourage them to speak with you, and about if they're being bullied, if any situations that have happened that are negative, because there are things that can happen. I mean, a lot of these games, you can put blocks on them. A lot of sites, you can put blocks on them. And then also as well, you can report any behaviour that doesn't work to the CEOP, which is the Centre of Child Exploitation and Protection Centre. So these are some of the that you can do, because research shows that parents that speak with their children about the dangers of internet use and put restrictions on them and give them guidance, then those children are more likely to be safe. Those children are less likely to be taken advantage of, less likely to be groomed, less likely to be exposed to porn. Because as I said, I don't know if I did say before, that not 80% of 10-year-olds have already been exposed to some kind of like porn or sexual imagery. And we really need to protect our young people, because like their brains are developing, and we want them to develop in an environment where they feel safe. So today's video, we're talking about the results from your latest quiz, where you talked about the effects of the internet, and your concerns about internet use and keeping your child safe during the lockdown. And thank you very much for taking part in the video, because a lot of you did say that you spoke with your children and that you gave them restrictions, or you did both of that. All of that. But there are still some of us, or some parents, that don't do that because they don't think they know enough about the internet to be able to do that. And it's particularly now, we need to be vigilant to protect our young people. So please be checking those games, checking any websites as well, and listening more to that young person. And if they've got any doubts about anybody that they're dealing with on the internet, that needs to be sorted out as well. And first of all, through you listening. So thank you very much for watching this video. If there's any questions, please put them below. Hi Maria and hi Veronica, how are you? If you've got any questions, now would be the time to ask. If you haven't got any questions, and that's cool too, just put the questions down below. We'll have daily questionnaires during this time. We've got mentors that are supporting young people virtually, because of course we've got the, we've got everything on lockdown. Oh, Gems, let's see what she's saying. Grooming is so important to be aware of, but some children or young people do not realise when it's happening to them. Yeah, it's true. I agree. They don't realise when it's happening to them. And it's for this reason for parents to talk to the young people, to make sure that, to ask them questions about what it is they're doing online, what kind of people they're speaking with, because then they can talk about what's actually going on and explain in more detail and get advice from the parents. So, Veronica, thank you. So this is a great opportunity for many parents to enter into their child's world by joining them in playing these games. Yeah, I agree. It has to be done, because many of us as parents, or many of us as adults, don't think we don't know enough. The kid knows more than us, and who are we to, but this is the ideal time to see actually what's going on before any of these things can occur. Because I've spoken with many young people that have played these computer games, and they're actually vigilant. They can see when there's some sexual grooming going on, but what for those that don't realise, and they take things at face value, and they think that person is somebody their age. And so ways that we can get around that is, if they are having a face-to-face meeting, that the parent always goes with them, not just in 75% of the occasions, but always goes with them to take that interest and to protect their young person. But thank you so much for your feedback, and I'll see you tomorrow. We'll see you on the next video. Have an amazing day. Thanks.